Um, Welcome, everybody. Appreciate you being here. It's a special meeting. It's all virtual. The Community Connectivity Grant Committee, Thursday, July 8th. It is 4:02 p.m. Welcome you guys all here. I heard from Bonnie that she is under the weather and most likely would not be able to join us today. I don't know about Jim. Tim's assistant let me know he had a 3:30 meeting and he may not be able to join us. She wasn't sure. But we have a quorum with Eric Olson, Frank Papalardo, myself, Mary Jo Nozel from the committee. And joining us is Kurt Procherena, our design engineer from BSC Group. Next on the agenda is public comment. I don't see any on the list, but I'll just do a shout out in case there's anybody maybe connecting without showing up. Is there any member of the public present? Hearing none, I'll move on to part of our agenda we call project update and plan cost estimates, sort of catch-all because we've been tracking various aspects of the project, in particular that Kurt has been carefully tracking for us and reporting on, and also the costs surrounding the budget, which will allow us to see what we can do for the transit hub. We did receive a notice today from BSC that our contractor, Martin Lavero, had sent an update on the budget or proposed budget for the transit hub. He had already sent us an estimate for the main base hub, driveway aprons, 2 of them, concrete sidewalk, and to the bus shelter, a bus shelter pad, ADA accessible ramp, the gravel roadway, and just grading in general. $41,950, which we got a couple weeks ago. My question on that, Kurt, the ADA accessible ramp, is that the same one we're talking about across from the church or not?
No, I think he probably means, well, you know what? I'm not sure what he means.
Okay.
I can clarify. He may mean something at the bus shelter.
Okay.
Because I sent him, well, I'll have to clarify, because I had sent him the request, as you saw, to give me a price for that. He might have rolled it into this, which I didn't want him to do that. I was very clear that I wanted that done when he fixes the deficient construction, because we want to get that done. We want to disconnect that work from the bus shelter so it gets done right away.
Right.
In July, essentially.
Right.
So I'll circle back with him for a clarification.
Okay, because I know we have to prove a change order or 2 here, and I was hoping that could be included, but we'll wait.
So was I, yeah.
Okay.
That ramp that you're talking about is the one opposite the church. That was included in our original scope of work, am I correct?
It was not.
It was not original in the original.
Right.
scope.
It'll be a change order. That was planned to be a change order. We had asked contractor for an estimate. The delay, my understanding, Kurt, and certainly jump in there, was when DOT approved that, they sent back some feedback on the actual DOT type of ramp. And you've been working with everyone to determine if it was a type 12 or 13.
Yep, exactly. And I actually took some measurements today when I was down there to confirm that. And my original assessment was correct. So now we know what type of ramp it is. And it's going to be a slightly, because we're forming sort of a T there with that ramp and then the sidewalk to the bus shelter, it's going to be like a modified DOT standard. And one of the reasons we held off was we didn't want to put in the ramp and then do the bus shelter and say, oh, that ramp won't work with the sidewalk teeing into it. We have to rip it out and put in a new ramp. That could potentially affect many feet of sidewalk on either side of it. So I was really worried about that. So now if we think, you know, that the transit shelter is going to go in, we know what type of ramp, even if the sidewalk is built in the future to the bus shelter, the way I'm going to configure it is that could be something added later and it won't affect everything else. So it's definitely a safer way to go. And that's what I was verifying today, just some of the dimensions down there for exactly what kind of ramp needed. So I'm going to, I had already sent Dan a sketch of the ramp, requesting pricing. I'm going to follow it up with a little extra detail where I'm kind of modifying some of the grades on the DOT standard ramp to adapt to what's there. So anyway, that I'm not sure if this ADA accessible ramp he's talking about is in that number, and I'll confirm that.
Let's hope it is. But
Yes.
let's hope it gets done first. Okay.
Right. Right.
While we're on that subject, given Frank brought this up at our last meeting, you know, it's kind of like a pedestrian crossway with no way for some people to get up onto the sidewalk. Is there anything we can put, maybe a sign, anything we should put up prior to the ramp going in, just to make people aware that there isn't right currently access or ADA accessible access at this point? Is there anything we should do?
Theoretically, and as we know, there was never a ramp on the other side, so that was sort of a crosswalk to nowhere.
Yeah.
A little bit odd. You know, you theoretically could put up a sign on the church side and just say crosswalk closed if you wanted to. And then people that were to cross the street would go down to the existing crosswalks, right, that have the ramps and the signage and everything.
I think we're best off just leaving it alone. Just, you know, we didn't install the crosswalk. It was there prior to our work.
Yeah, in fact, DOT installed it.
Yeah, DOT installed it. It was never there. I mean, it never had a ramp, and we're just trying to fix somebody else's mistake that may have happened 50 years ago.
Yeah, that's a good point, Frank.
Understood. Okay. I was asking that given, you know, what you had brought up.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, but that crosswalk has been there for as long as I can remember, my whole life, you know, because the church had parking across the street. So
Yeah, I guess the only difference is now we put in a sidewalk.
yeah,
Could have someone gotten up there before we put in the sidewalk?
No.
Okay, all right, thank you. I wasn't sure on that one. Okay, all right. Then maybe we just need to clarify that as soon as possible and prioritize that. That'd be
we
great.
do have another caller in here. I see Jim Lampos is on, and there's another caller that.
Oh. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Mary Jo.
Thank you. Jim Lampos has joined us from the committee at 4:09 p.m. Call-in user, would you care to identify yourself?
That may have been me, Mary Jo. I was having trouble connecting through specs.
Okay. All right.
And I don't know what the iPhone is doing these days. It's just not cooperating anymore.
I've had it happen to me too. So your alter ego is also on. Okay. All right.
I've been.
Thank you. Okay. So while we're on the transit hub, we had, as I started to say, an estimate of $41,950 for the base work. Today we received the cost of, it wasn't itemized, but the overall cost for the incidental work, the decorative pilings for the border using the materials that the town has on site, which are mainly those poles, telephone poles, a bike repair station, 2 bike racks, two bench, two post and rope fence that belong with the pilings, and then one trash receptacle. The estimate was 26,700. And then plantings and landscaping as specified on Kurt's plan of $36,200 for a total of $104,850. Obviously, we don't have $104,850. So we have to talk about that. Next steps, which is, what we had hoped to have a couple meetings ago. So we obviously have enough for the base hub, and we had approximately 60,000, I believe. 60,550 is the estimate, which includes change orders estimated for the decorative posts, the asphalt curbing at Cross and Shore, and an ADA ramp across from the church. So we had an estimate of those of 9,400, and I say estimate because we don't have the actual estimate from the contractor for the ADA ramp, unless it's included in his base bid for the transit hub. So, it's truly an estimate. But given all that and moving all the 10% contingency we carried into this second phase, it leaves us approximately $60,550 to play with for the transit hub.
I really would like to, that incidental work, I want to see things itemized out. I mean, if you look at that and just say, let's pick the two items on that incidental work that are necessary for the contractor to do. And that would be the decorative pilings and the post and rope fence. Just those two items, because the other four items can be purchased, through town budget process, capital expenses over the course of a couple of years without a problem.
Agreed.
With it, I shouldn't say without a problem. It can reasonably be expected to be purchased through town capital. So if you just take that incidental work and say, okay, all we want is the decorative pilings and the rope and post fence, and we're providing you with 50% of that, more than 50% of the materials already. How much is that? And then I'd like to see an itemized cost on the plantings. I mean, arborvitaes, you can buy arborvitaes for $25, $24 a piece, on the general retail market. So, if you're gonna put 100 arborvitaes in there, which I don't think we have anywhere near that many, 100 arborvitaes, and it's got $2,500 in there. So to come up with $36,000 for arborvitaes and 3 trees is I'm having a hard time getting my arms wrapped around that.
Yeah, I hear you. And I know this is fresh off the printer. So, Kurt, do you think that, how long do you think it would take, Dan, to provide us the more specified cost so that we can approve, approve safely within our budget?
Yeah, more of a line item format, menu format, so you can pick the things that you want.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer to that would be.
Okay.
What I can confirm is that I'll request that as soon as we hang up,
Okay.
and indicate that we'd like to see an itemized cost estimate so the committee can pick the items that they would like to move forward, because this is beyond the available budget.
But I think we have enough funding to put together our base project, and then a good representative skeleton that we could build upon for the future, with some plantings maybe, and the rope fence and things of that nature. And then we can add the benches and the trash cans and all that kind of stuff over the course of time, over the course of, you know, a 5-year period, maybe to drop a 5-year capital plan for the Board of Finance and hopefully get that approved. Once again, when you drop a capital plan over a 5-year period, I think we got a lot better chance of getting the rest of the package put together nicely.
Yeah, or another grant.
Or another grant. I mean, obviously, another grant would be great.
Yeah, and looking at his estimate, you know, I already have some thoughts as to how we could modify the design. Kind of like what you said, Frank, we go with the core infrastructure. We know that, for example, the decorative pilings are using on-site material. I don't imagine those are a big cost item. You know, the post and rope fence, okay, you know, maybe we include just that, or maybe not. We'll see what the line item is. And then we eliminate, you know, theoretically, you could eliminate all the plantings except the buffering against the homeowners' homes, and the other stuff could be put in at some other time. So
put 2 trees in, you know, one instead of 5 or 6, we put 2
Yep.
trees in,
Yep,
and then
So-
add to that over the course of time.
that's right. So by getting the line item costs, I think we could almost have a meeting like this one, and in real time, just start picking the items. And as we're picking the items, we're just doing a running total. And then once we get to, you know, whatever we say, okay, that's it. Okay, there's our project.
Yeah.
And then that project gets reflected in the final design.
And that's how we did the southern part of Hartford Avenue, Mary Jo Kirk. I mean, we had line item, and we were, you know,
That's right.
line item items in and out. So that, and it worked out well. It worked out well.
Yep.
Eric or Jim?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Kurt, with the landscaping in the bus area, did we ask for like sod? And I mean, that number really jumped out at me, the 36,000. So do you remember exactly what you had asked them to, you know, as part of your design? Was it just plantings, or was it also like mulching or anything like that?
Yeah, we had, there's really 3 main areas where landscaping was included. So we have the buffering along the 2 houses. And that was basically evergreens. I think they were some type of cedar tree. Deer resistant and salt resistant were pretty critical items there. So that was kind of one bucket.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was we had the I think they ended up being oak trees that had been requested. Kind of, I think there was 3 of them in the open field, and those were pretty decent sized trees that were selected. And then the third thing is we just had some plantings right around the bus shelter itself, which were full planting beds, you know, plants, little shrubs with mulch. And in my opinion, that's the stuff that could just be eliminated, right? Even the 3 deciduous trees, just eliminate them. Those could be planted later on at some point.
Okay.
And like Frank said, we could just reduce the buffering. And we could even get as specific as, you know, there's the one house, I can't remember the address, that's closer, that's right adjacent.
Mhm.
You know, maybe you keep that buffering as is, but the house that's much farther back, maybe that buffering gets reduced because they are so much farther back.
Yeah,
I think line item is really the only way we can really accurately put this thing together. And I agree with
Otherwise, we're
Eric.
just speculating.
That's $26,000 or $36,000 for landscaping. It's a big number, and even the $26,000 for, you know, some benches. And I know the benches are not cheap, but it's a lot of freaking money for some benches and bike racks.
yeah, I honestly, I didn't get that either out of that, Frank. I know we had estimated we'd gone out for a quote from the one vendor for the bike repair station, and that was about $2,000. So
Yeah, but I think I found those online for about $1,100. The benches in the southern part of Hartford Avenue were like $800 a piece.
Yeah.
The bike rack that we just purchased for Hartford Avenue was like $700. So I'm running over in my mind the items that I know we've just purchased or I recently purchased, and doesn't come up anywhere near the $26,000 category.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that the contractor really wants to do this work?
Unknown. I would assume he would, right? It's work that's right there, right? He already has the project. It's simple. So I'm speculating, but boy, I can't see why not.
Yeah, because I really question those two. If he's trying to get done with us, that's one way to do it. All right, so Kurt, do you want me to send him an email or would you feel comfortable?
Oh, I'm happy to send the email. Yep.
Okay. All right, that'd be great.
I think you should express our amazement at the numbers versus the work that's being performed. I'm not pleased with these numbers at all. Not at all. Based on what I see, what the scope of work is and what the numbers are, I'm not pleased with them at all.
Yeah, I mean, we had been thinking we had enough to cover everything or very close. So this was a surprise today.
And some of it could be due to, so for example, we don't know what the post or moat fence is. We have seen lumber prices skyrocket. I've had a couple of projects where we've had timber guardrail, which literally doubled in cost because of wood prices. And, who knows, there could be some of that in there, but Dan will know, right? Because he has the data, so.
The post could be the poles that are already on site. They don't have to be 4x4 or 6x6. We can use the telephone posts, telephone pole posts, utility pole posts, and run the rope through those.
Right. Right. Well, thank you, Kurt, for following up with him.
I'll email him as soon as we're done.
Does the committee feel comfortable giving a voting on at least moving forward on the main project, the actual infrastructure for the hub? I mean, we've not really told. Go ahead.
I would recommend that we do that. Can you guys hear me? I'm having a little trouble with the connection.
Yeah, we can hear you, Tim.
Okay. I would recommend that we do that. Over the weekend, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's an architect who does a lot of work with schools and public buildings. And he said bids that were coming in way under expectation 6 months ago are coming in way over expectation now. It's just like it's been a whipsaw with the reopening of the economy and the labor shortages, et cetera, and contractors are building in these huge buffers because they don't know what's coming up. If Kurt feels comfortable with that 41,000 number on the main infrastructure, if we break it out and see exactly what that is, that would put it in the ground and kind of make it a done deal. The rest of the stuff is details. And I don't suspect that, seeing the way Libero's bids have come in, I think he's much more comfortable with laying down concrete than he is with decorative light poles and things like that. They seem to be more, at least from limited experience that I've seen, more of a meat and potatoes kind of a firm, rather than dress it all up sort of landscape architecture type firm. So if that's a halfway decent number, it may be good, especially because the grant, there is a clock ticking on it, just to get that part of it, and the landscaping and the decorative piling and all of that stuff. We can put it aside and see what we can get outside of Libero.
Well, I agree with Jim. I think to get that base project, like you said, in the ground, and then we can add the rest of it as we get the line item items from him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't want to go out to another contractor, and I'm hoping that Martin Lavero can come back with a little bit more substance. Because I don't know how that will affect our grant and what that will, how delayed that would make this whole thing. But I like the idea of approving the 41,950 plus maybe some contingency to that if Kurt feels that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm very confident, and especially now that we have an actual price proposal from the contractor, we can get that core infrastructure in, so we know that that dollar amount is fixed, the 41,950, and then we basically just build those other items up to your budget beyond that. So you've got a project. You know, that's kind of the good news here.
Right.
We've got a project. Now we just have to figure out, okay, beyond the 41,950, what are the items that are the highest priority to get in now? And then what are those items that can follow, kind of to Frank's point, when you just, okay, over the next 3-5 years, what are the things we want to just kind of add in here?
So the only question I've had, Kurt, regarding that landing for the crosswalk, does it make a difference if we include it as part of this 41,000 budget now or separate? I mean, either way, it's coming out of the grant, so I don't see any
Yeah,
big difference one way or
it
the
doesn't make a difference at all, really. The only reason that it's something that I want to clarify is we don't want him to wait. So remember, for this work, we need to get the zoning approvals and those kinds of things. So this work may not happen until, September, October, whereas we want that ramp in July.
But if we approve this and give him the purchase order for this amount, then he can phase it in at whatever is appropriate. So
Oh,
we say,
sure. Yeah.
You've been approved for 41,000. Get that ramp in ASAP, and the rest of it you have to wait until we get the zoning and the other stuff.
Well, you need zoning approval to do anything out there.
So we can't even put the ADA ramp in for the crosswalk.
Oh, we absolutely can do that.
That's
So
what I mean. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm disconnecting that from the transit project.
Now, what I'm saying, if that crosswalk is part of this, which it probably is, based on what I'm seeing here, then we can give him the approval for the 41,000 and tell him that, we want the crosswalk ramp in ASAP, and the rest of it will have to wait until we get zoning approval.
Yeah, my recommendation would be to modify that slightly, give him a change order. We could tell him that the 41,950 is approved in principle. However, I would not feel comfortable issuing him a change order for the full amount until we have a complete set of plans. So for sake of time, I'd rather just give him a change order for that one ramp, and I already have the plans for that done. That's just a simple change order form. I'm going to ask him to split that cost out. That way, because this cost estimate is based on the preliminary design. So I just want to make sure that T's crossed, I's dotted. Once we tell Martin Lavero, let's say for the 41,950 or whatever it is, here is the plan to a high level of detail that goes along with that. And I feel like right now we don't yet have that plan.
So we would be approving this in principle based on the preliminary design.
That's what I think is appropriate. Yeah.
And then do we need to include some contingency on this?
I think you should keep your contingency that was left over from the initial, and I can't remember the dollar amount. But kind of roll that into since now the other project is pretty much
6,000.
done. Yeah. So I would just take that contingency
Yeah.
and roll it over to the bus shelter.
Apply it over here. Yeah.
Yeah. And frankly, for the value of the bus shelter, that's a lot of contingency. So once we get closer to final design, you could probably cut that in half.
So what do we need now, Mary Jo? Do you want a motion to approve the 41,900 in principle and issue, I guess, a memo of understanding to the contractor pending final plans.
Yep.
All right, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Frank. And I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Eric. And Jen, just for clarification, the cost estimate of $41,950 is for the base work. It's a transit hub. And it's based on the estimate that we received in June, and it's restated on July 7th, 2021 proposal. Did I say it's based on the preliminary design?
Yes.
Okay, I did. All right. So that's good. And I don't think there's anything else we have to discuss. Eric, are you okay? Oh, that was Eric. Jim, do you have any issues, concerns?
No, I'm good with that.
Okay, then I guess we can vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that was Mary Jo, Frank, Eric, and Jim unanimously voting in favor of the motion.
You have to do a roll call now, Mary Jo. I just got the memo.
Well,
So,
I saw that, but for us, it's always been unanimous, so but then I always wrote it in the minutes, but I at least generally do. So yeah, how about that? We'll talk about that in a second if we have time. Okay, and then the other to-do item is Kurt is kind enough to go out to Dan Levesque and get some details on the incidental work also, so we know where we're at. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Then, since we're on approving things, Kurt, you need approval, I would think, from this group for the change order for the curbing at Cross and Shore, correct?
I think you already voted on that at the last meeting. But you could.
I know we talked about it.
You could do it
We
again.
did, maybe. I don't want to waste our time if I already did it. Sorry about that. I typed those minutes up, but that doesn't mean I remember what I typed.
I think we approved those and the decorative posts at the end of the street.
It mustn't have been the last meeting because I was checked, but maybe we did. Okay, all right.
And we do have some discussions on those.
Yeah, okay. So I guess I think since the change order came through and it's dated July 6th, you guys mind just I'm motioning to approve that for $1,200. That is to remove, and the whole change order is remove and dispose 6 linear feet of existing BCLC at concrete driveway apron near station 12+26, remove and dispose 12 linear feet of existing BCLC adjacent to sidewalk ramp near station 11+77, install 55 feet of new BCLC between west side of concrete driveway apron, south side of sidewalk ramp, backfill curb with loam, seed, and mulch. So this is the actual change order that we just received. So I would really like a motion to approve the curbing for $1,200, and that's change order 1.
Yeah, I think last time we talked about it was $1,600, so this is $400 better. So I'll approve that. I'll make a
Thank
motion
you.
to approve that.
Thank you, Frank.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Eric. Heard you first. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, myself, Frank, Eric, and Jim. Thank you very much.
And then just to confirm, I did send that to Tim as the municipal administrator. He has to sign it. He'll send it back to me. I've already signed it. Then I will forward it to the contractor for his signature. Once we receive that back, it becomes official. And then it's just a matter of when he will get out there and do it.
Okay, thank you very much.
And if I could ask at some point, maybe somebody could just check in with Tim to make sure that it's on his radar screen.
Yes, I'll follow up with him because it will be part of the minutes too, and I'll put that on the email. And then you're also going to check on the ramp. Okay.
Yep, I put in a request along with a design sketch to Dan to give me a specific number on that, and I haven't heard back.
Okay. And then there are two other potential change orders that we need to talk about. Sorry for being disorganized here. Okay, the two decorative posts. I guess we only have one other change order because the ADA ramp was going to be a change order.
Yep,
So,
yep.
okay. So then the two decorative posts, which we did, I do remember motioning that for the corner of Hartford Avenue and Shore Road. The discussion had been, the amount, as you guys recall, was for 6,200. That was the estimate. The discussion had originally been to have the stop sign on the east side of Hartford Avenue and the street sign on the west side. And in looking at this, Kurt, when he was planning this, indicated there may be some concerns on the west side. So I'm going to turn that over to Kurt to discuss.
Yeah, thanks, Mary Jo. So as I was starting to put together the change order package, I was getting ready to put the plans together. And as part of the initial pricing request, we already have referenced all the appropriate special provisions in the bid set with example photos of exactly what we want. So there's no question. And I started to look at the west side of Hartford Avenue where the street sign would go, the street indicator sign, essentially opposite the stop sign. And I realized that with the sidewalk there, we have our easement. I started looking at the property lines. We would need to modify the easement that we have with Easy Mart 277 Shore Road in order to accommodate that sign. So I didn't want to proceed till I talked with the committee. And the other potential, I don't want to say concern, but something to think about is the Easy Mart sign is right there relative to like a street indicator sign. The Easy Mart sign is in the worst possible spot. It's his property, so of course it's up to him. But my concern was, even if we did get an easement, did we want to put, and would he be comfortable with it, this decorative post right next to his business sign? Could that look odd? Could he have concerns with blocking his sign? Obviously, our post is probably not as high as his sign. So anyway, I just wanted to bring these concerns up when I was out there earlier today. You know, I kind of looked at it, and it may be the kind of thing where you want to take a ride out there and sort of, it's hard when you look at a plan sheet and whatnot to really kind of get a sense of. So just in case, what I have done, I did this yesterday. I sent Dan a request for a price on a single decorative post that can accommodate both the stop sign and the two street signs, just in case. I figured I would just get ahead of it, knowing that it seems like it takes a little while to get pricing. But it's in the end, it's obviously up to the committee. We have the pricing for the two posts now, but this way we have options.
So Kurt, I know it wouldn't be more than 6,200 for just one post. And on the other project, don't we have a post like that has stop signs and street signs on it?
We do, and that's the one that is at the intersection of Hartford Avenue and Pond.
Bocce.
Oh, okay. Oh, the one by the community center. Okay.
Yeah, and the example that I actually used is the one that's down at Hartford and Pond. So yeah, the precedent's already set. It's there. We know it's an available product. You know, that would be sort of the alternate plan if the committee felt that a standalone street sign wouldn't work on the Easy Mart side.
Kurt, is there enough room on the east side that won't conflict with traffic going into the gas station for this? Is there any concern with that?
Yes, and I actually, when I sent Dan the materials yesterday, I also included a photo of that intersection. And essentially this post would, because it would have the stop sign, it has to go at the stop bar. So this post would essentially go exactly where the existing post is today. So
Okay,
in the pricing request, I asked him to please include removal of the post, reuse of the stop sign. You'll need 2 new street signs because they're a different size for those decorative posts. But so yeah, it would absolutely work. It would essentially go where the stop sign is located today.
thank you. Other guys?
How much property on Easy Mart would we have to get an easement for? We're talking, 6 inches, a foot, 5 feet, 10 feet, or
Yeah.
what?
It may be that it can actually fit in the existing easement. And so you would just simply need to modify the existing easement. In fact, let me try to find that drawing right now.
While Kurt's finding that, if we're
Yeah.
going to be cramming or trying to get like a nice decorative stone sign, whatever, at the beginning there, that was the whole reason for the easement. And then just to put another decorative post in, and then it might just be overcrowded. My opinion, that one on the one side with a stop sign and the street sign, I think suffices. I don't think we need to have a mirror image if we do in fact put that, nice welcome there, sound view, whatever it's going to say on it.
Thank you, Eric. Any comments, Jim? You may have lost Jim.
So I have the easement drawing, and it's pretty tight to the sidewalk. So depending on specifically where this sign would go, the easement line may have to be adjusted. And I can get to a much finer level of detail. I won't be able to do it right now, but I'll go into the digital file and confirm that.
Okay. Well, does the committee want to wait till we hear from Kurt on the refined view of this before?
I think we need to figure out whether we're going with 1 post, 2 posts.
Yeah.
Have to get the easement, don't get the easement. And I'd
Yeah.
like to, once I see your drawings, I'd like to go out and take a little walk and do a little, on-site scoping out. Maybe we can meet out there, Mary Jo, whoever else, to get a better handle on it.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll send you guys the sketch so you can see it.
Thank you. But, just in general, I kind of agree with Eric. If it looks like we're going to be crowding that space, which we had kind of hoped might be a good space for a placemaking thing, I tend to agree. And since, might save us some money to have 1 post, I'm kind of in favor of that too. So thank you, Kurt, for asking. Dan?
Yeah, I also worry a little bit about the sign clutter, that sometimes you just get too much structure and it ends up, and then, not to get bogged down in details, but his Easy Mart sign is white, it's pretty bright. Now we've got this black post next to it. Yeah, sometimes you can overdo it. and it just doesn't look right.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. Because these are really pretty, and if they're not going to be able to see them, what is it going to be? So, yeah, that makes sense to me too. Okay, so we will kind of table that discussion until we have more information, and that includes cost of one post for stop and street sign. So those are the three change orders. Is there anything more on Kurt, you wanted to mention?
So let's see, we have change order one is the curbing, the decorative poles, and the ramp at the transit. Those are the only change orders right now being considered. And then just for clarity, theoretically, change order number 4 would be associated with the transit hub.
Oh, right, okay,
Yeah, because I don't envision any other, since we're done, essentially, I don't envision any other
okay,
change orders on what I'll call the base project.
all right, great. Thank you. Okay, any cost discussions before we move on?
Oh, I do have to leave at 5 or so, I have another meeting I've got to get to, so I just wanted to bring that up.
Okay. The next is the outstanding concerns, which is our favorite part of our meeting. And on today's list, it's pretty much our same issues. We got feedback from Paul Nickerson of the displeasure of the opinion of our town attorney that we not put up anything on his property that would be because of his concerns for vehicular traffic coming into his property, that's a potential liability for the town. He was upset. I think the message that I sent him, I believe I copied you all. Did you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
Okay, then I did send it. Okay. It was very clear he wants to move those onto his property. That's his choice. His email back to us indicates his concern that the town had rezoned his property from commercial residential to only commercial in the C10. And I'll let Jim address that. And then the other issue was the driveway, which I don't feel personally that we have anything we need to do there, but I will have Kurt confirm my thoughts on that. But Jim had taken upon himself to review the zoning for that area. And Jim, can you just sum up your findings?
Yeah, Mary Jo. He's in the C10, and I also have a property in the C10, which is a mixed-use residential commercial. It's colloquially called neighborhood commercial, where sometimes you'll have a building with an apartment upstairs and commercial space downstairs, like we see it at Anley's and at Pizza Palace, and both of those are conforming. And so in the C10, you are permitted to have a single-family residence. There's also provisions for boarding house and stuff like that. So it's actually more permissive than the R10. And it also allows a lot of commercial stuff. I had proposed before that we extend the SBDD up there because I think that would actually kind of further, it would bring some design elements into the area, and it would continue to allow the sort of activity that we have there right now. And we'd like to continue that sort of activity, I think. But there's nothing that Paul's doing right now that's in violation of the C10. He's completely conforming in that.
Right.
Jim,
Both residentially.
he mentioned that the town rezoned it recently. I don't remember hearing a rezoning of that area. I
The
mean,
reason it's well before my memory. It's been I venture to say it's been at least 30 years. It's been a C10,
Yeah.
In fact, when I first started getting involved in Sound Viewer, I remember Joe Martino, going on a little, mission to change it from C10 because he thought it was too permissive. So that's, people have been talking about changing the zoning up there because there's a lot of things like a lot of motor fuel or boat fuel stuff is allowed up there. There's a lot of stuff that we wouldn't want up there that is allowed in the C10. But that's kind of neither here nor there. It's been a C10 for at least as long as we've owned the property at 275 Shore, which has been since 1986.
So Paul's statement that said it was, I think, if I recall, it said it was recently changed or changed without his knowledge.
He said, I also found out that the town rezoned my property from commercial residential use to sole commercial.
No, C10.
It implied like,
Yeah.
but he didn't say that.
Yeah, it specifically allows single-family residential. So he's got nothing to worry about on that end.
Okay.
So the town didn't rezone anything, in recent memory. So at least 30 years. I think Paul, I don't know when Paul's moved in there, but,
Got it. And then his other concern was now that this is, in his mind, a sole commercial, which clearly he probably doesn't understand that he's doing everything that he exists there is allowed, including his family living there, that his driveway should be changed to conform like Teddy's driveway. And he's indicated that he's using that driveway between his house and Teddy's for his trucks, and the ramps that are, somewhat elevated, he said he has blown tires on them. When I looked at this last month, he's actually chipped some of the ramp off on the eastern side of this, going over it. But, his driveway was the driveway per his building plan. And we actually just put in the concrete apron. But it is conforming, and I don't see that the project has any need to change that. If he wanted to change it, he could go through the process through the DOT. But I'm open that conversation up to the group.
well, we just replaced like with like, right, Kurt? We didn't. You're not on, no audio, Kurt.
Sorry about that. Essentially, the bituminous apron that was there was simply replaced with a concrete apron. So it was not made any smaller. In fact, one could almost argue it was made slightly wider. But for all intents and purposes, it was just replaced with concrete.
Like with like, according to the state and.
That's
town
right.
standards.
As a residential,
Yeah.
as a driveway serving a residential house, it was just replaced with what was there.
I think, because I went down, looked at it myself also after he sent that email.
Yeah.
I think his issue is when pulling into that driveway cut, the left side, the concrete flares up.
Yeah.
And then there's a little bit of bituminous that goes back down. So it's almost like this quick little hill, which I'm sure he runs over pulling his trailers in. So I think when the curbing gets put in around that corner that we just talked about, I think that will eliminate that sharp. You know what I'm talking about, Kurt, on the left side of that driveway?
Yeah, it's kind of the concrete wing of the
Right.
apron.
And then it drops back down with some bituminous on the left side or the west side of it. So I think we'll be, in my opinion, once the curbing goes in that we approved, that eliminates any other issues. And since it was approved by DOT, I don't think there's anything else we need to do.
Yeah, that makes sense, Eric. I will send him a nice note back because he did follow up. Are you going to fix my driveway? I will respond cordially with this information. But Kurt, am I correct that if he has any concerns, he can reach out to the DOT?
Yeah, that's correct. As far as the project is concerned, as Frank said, we replace like with like. If he would like to widen his driveway or something, there's a process that he would apply to through District 2.
Yes.
And, they have a certain process that they'll look at as to what's it being used for, why is it, et cetera, et cetera. But yes, he can absolutely contact District 2. And essentially it's an encroachment permit kind of process, similar to what we had to get for any of the work in the right of way.
Thank you. Stay tuned. Unless there's any other discussion on Paul, we'll move on to Teddy.
I would just add, Mary Jo, just for reference, it's 5.11.1, 5.11.1 in the old Lyme zoning regs.
Okay, thank you. I'll include that in my note. Thank you. I appreciate everybody going out and taking a look at that situation and then looking up the zoning. Thank you. That we're being as helpful as we possibly can to Paul. So I appreciate it. Then his next door neighbor, Ted, as we know, couple things. The curbing, or the bituminous curbing, we know it's going to need to be redone. We've been discussing that. It was put in incorrectly and then cut a hole in it after discussions with Ted and not instead of the contractor himself or Kurt or any of us. So that whole piece is going to have to be replaced. Ted's concern, and we've seen it, is when it rains, water builds up the corner of that drive and his walkway, or corner of that curb and his walkway. And he's upset, and he wants it fixed sooner than later. Am I summarizing that okay, Frank?
But I wasn't quite sure. I mean, he kind of went on with a variety of things, but what's actually wrong with what was the installation issues that we had with presently? So let's start with that. And if it had been installed properly, would his concerns still exist?
Sure. So the plans, as you know, have essentially an island in front of his property that is to accommodate the sidewalk. The new curbing was designed just inboard of the DOT right of way, and it's essentially a straight shot right along the right of way line. So it's absolutely parallel with the right of way line, and it's literally just a few inches off the right of way line, but it's a very straight run of curbing. That would have resulted in a space between the face of the new curbing and his concrete, whatever it is, where his sign is, sort of a raised concrete area. That would have allowed water to just drain out as it is, kind of as it does under present conditions. The contractor didn't install the curbing in a straight line. They actually went straight, and then the curbing takes an angle, and it almost appears like they made that angle to try to touch the back of that concrete thing that the sign resides on. Then even more than that, they actually mashed down the curbing. It looks terrible at that concrete area. So it completely touches it. And now that's blocking the water from leaving. So if it had been constructed per plan, the water would just drain out as it normally has toward the catch basin that's right adjacent to his entrance. But because they've now sort of sealed that off, the water has nowhere to go.
So we presently put the contractor on notice to make these corrections.
Yes, that's on the punch list that was issued to him. Yep.
He actually has looked at it too and agreed.
Yes, we were out there. And he said, yeah, and as Mary Jo mentioned, there's this odd cut that was put in the curbing, which frankly made things even worse. That's actually allowing water from the area of the sidewalk to drain onto Teddy's property. And it was my understanding that Teddy had asked the contractors to make that cut, which he probably didn't understand what that would do, but they shouldn't have taken direction from a property
Right.
owner. So anyway, the contractor knows that he has to rectify it. But between that cut, that's allowing water to drain from the new island area back into his property, and the fact that now it can't get out, that's what's going on.
So that's his concern, then, the water drainage, am I correct? And now, is there another issue with the driveway entrance?
Not that
No,
I'm
It's just,
aware of.
it's okay.
Yeah.
And we've already addressed that with the contractor, and it's on his punch list to correct.
Yeah, and we're just waiting for his timing now. In my email, I think that Mary Jo forwarded to the committee, I said, please keep us informed as to the timing of the work. We want to know when you're going to get out there and do this work.
I think the contractor should be made aware that his incorrect installation of this island issue is potentially causing a business loss to this particular property owner. And, I'm not sure what the liability issues are on that, but the contractor, maybe that's one way to get the contractor to move a little quicker.
Yeah, I could send Dan a follow-up email and just express that, hey, look, this has become a real serious issue. And as Mary Jo indicated, he has seen it, he knows it.
Yeah.
And I could just say, look, you need to take care of this.
yeah.
But that
I
area, that area,
hesitate to put anything
fills
in
with
there.
water.
Yeah, I hesitate to put anything there about liability or that could even mention that at this point. But yeah, the other thing we thought about, I believe, is that that curbing was going to be replaced in the fall. So and I might be wrong, but I thought that was Dan's understanding of that, or I thought he asked about that. Am I wrong?
Yes, and we had talked about the fact that we were worried about impacting Teddy's business by having people working in there
Yeah.
during the summer, because hopefully there's some vegetation finally growing in there. And we were worried that, okay, when do these guys do it? Theoretically, nobody's going to want to be sitting outside when there's this crew in there pulling out old curbing, putting in, right? So we were worried about the impact it could have to Teddy's business.
Yeah.
However, now it sounds like every time it rains, there's an impact to his business. So it may be that we have to tell Dan, look, this has become a critical issue. You need to coordinate with the business owner to find out when the work can be done such that it does not impact his business.
Right.
So, as an example, if Teddy's is closed on Mondays, okay, then you need to do this work on a Monday. And it all has to be completely wrapped up by time he opens Tuesday morning. Kind of thing.
Or whatever, yeah, let the contractor and Teddy work it out. I think it's enough that we,
Yeah.
We've identified the problem exists, the contractor's aware of it, Teddy's concerns are well-founded, and we're doing whatever we can do to fix it.
And just so you know, Frank, when Dan came to look at the situation, Teddy was there. Teddy
Yeah.
came out
Yes.
to speak.
Yes.
So he knows that Dan knows, and he knows he was there, and Dan said it has to be fixed.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So that's all I have on shore. Does anybody else have anything else on shore? Okay. we'll move on to Hartford Avenue quickly. The Port Alliance letter, Tim sent it today. I didn't get it till late. I'm sorry, when I got home. I sent it out to you guys. He's made some little modifications to the letter we sent to Tim. And basically, the main difference is the discussion of the existing fence, and he kind of ends up with, hopefully this matter can be resolved. He reiterated our concerns that, you know, we tried to do everything we can, was going to go forward with the concrete, and then you decided, the homeowners decided they didn't want it. In the meantime, they just raked their rocks onto town property. And then basically says, you know, this is in the fall, we're going to have to put in the bituminous apron because it's code. If anyone, you may not have seen it yet either, but if you have any comments on it, if you could send it directly to Tim. I'm going out of town for a few days. And you can just copy me, and then he'll have our feedback.
I read it. I thought it was fine. I mean, with the
Okay.
couple of little minor changes, I think it could be sent out
Okay.
as is.
Okay. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it at all.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Frank. Jim, if you just want to let me know if you can hear us.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I thought it summed everything up well.
Oh,
That's fine
okay.
by me.
All right.
Yeah.
Then I'll just let him know that there's consensus to send the July 8th version, or July, it says July 9th, the July 9th version of the letter. Thank you. Okay, I have not heard anything from the Port Alliance's neighbors, so that's good. The mailbox that was outstanding at 23 has gone in, so that's good news. Looks really nice. I didn't take a picture. I forgot to do that. Send it to you. And then the sod in general, the original sod looks pretty darn good. The more recent sod does not look so good. In some places where homeowners haven't been able to water their lawn, or maybe they're not even there. The rangers have been watering when they can, but certainly the sod up by Easy Mart is, you know, straw. So I'm hopeful that maybe in the fall some of it will come back, but that's all I know on that. Any questions?
I think, I mean, in the fall, if, you know, part of that contingency that we have, if it has to be replaced, some of it, I mean, it's not a ton. I think that's what we'll have to address. We'll have to see, you know, in the fall time.
Okay, good idea.
Yeah, I mean, as we see on Shore Road, it's a jungle down in Soundview with that high water table. So, you know, I think that sod's going to come back. You know, it's kind of a monoculture right now, but nature will have a funny way of seeding that itself, and I think it's going to turn around in a couple months on its own.
Good. I'm going to bank on that because I've had a lot of guilt feelings associated with it. So thank you so much. Those were just the words I needed to hear.
I think nature will take its own course. Everything turns green in Soundview.
Okay.
Very jealous guilt feelings. That's your upbringing, you know. But,
Can't help it. I'll get those priests someday. All right. Okay, so now that's all I had on Hartford Avenue. Did anybody else have any questions?
look, I got a bounce if
Okay.
there's if
Right.
we need to make anything that you need me for.
Just two quick things. An invoice for BSC Group for the Gateway Transit Hub design. This is the first invoice to BSC for that, for professional services, in the amount of $2,143.10. Like a motion to approve it for Tim.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Thank you, Eric.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Frank. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye. Mary Jo, Eric, Frank, and Jim, unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Then the only other thing, and I will bounce back to the other thing before, after Frank leaves, is any buddy care to approve the minutes from the June 29th meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Jim. Second?
I don't recall. I imagine they're okay, so I'll second it, I guess.
Thank you, Frank. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain, Mary Jo, as I wasn't at that meeting.
Oh, geez. You're right, Eric. But we still have a quorum, so that's great. Thank you, Eric. I guess, okay, so we all voted in favor, and that's except for Eric who abstained. So Mary Jo, Eric, or Mary Jo, Frank, and Jim approve. Motion carries. Thank you. The next thing I wanted to bring up, just ask Kurt, did you by chance get anything from Tim on the eligible and non-eligible amendments that we approved last week?
I have not seen anything as of yet.
Bye, Frank.
Okay. Bye, Frank. I'll follow up with him on that then too.
Okay, thank you.
And then, just so you know, we got an email today from Town Hall indicating that as of July 1st, if we're going to have virtual meetings, we have to let the town clerk know 48 hours before. It's a little vague. We don't have to have our agenda out for 24 hours like we currently do before the meeting, but we have to let them know 48 hours before. I don't know what, I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me, frankly. I mean, the town clerk only posts our agenda, so if we don't get the agenda in 24 hours before, I'm not sure that makes any sense at all. But that's where we're at. So if we do plan another WebEx virtual meeting, I will at least let powers that be know that we're planning it 48 hours in advance, but that still means we don't have to have our agenda in for 24 hours in advance, but we'll try and do both 48 hours in advance. Because I don't know about you, but I feel like this is the best way for us to meet at this point. We're getting near the end of our journey, as the Bachelor says. We're getting near the end of our journey, and to pull us all in or try and get us all in at 4 o'clock in Town Hall or another meeting might be very difficult. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
I think this is fine, this format. It allows us, if we're, like Jim is at work or I'm still, at work, whatever, it kind of allows us to do it.
Thank you, Eric.
And we'll plan our last meeting to be in person and we'll have a little celebration.
That makes sense. Good point. Okay, so we'll just kind of continue as we are, but I'll try and make sure that I give them 48 hours notice. And now we're at the point where we ask for, do we want to meet? When do we want to meet next?
I guess we should meet once the contractor has an itemized list for us, because at this point we're kind of in a holding pattern, right?
Correct.
So maybe once we have it confirmed and you're going to be on, out of town, maybe we get it and then we plan from there.
Yeah, is there anything, I think that makes sense. As soon as we get this, hopefully we can meet, if not next week, the following week. We'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, once Kurt gets it and he lets us know he has it, I mean, we generally, like we threw this meeting together in a couple of days, so I think we can do it. You get it and be like, all right, let's meet next Tuesday.
Right. Okay, thank you. Unless there's any other closing comments, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Eric.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jim. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Myself, Eric, Jim voting in favor. unanimous. Frank Pappalardo left the meeting at 5:10 p.m. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Great to see everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Kurt.
Bye
Have a
bye.
good one.
Derek, thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.